Hello and welcome back to a new season of Deep Dive. We are going to be talking all about the Owen Hart Women's Tournament. I am excited to dive into this amazing tournament that we saw over the course of a few weeks. So get ready, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hello and welcome back to season 2 of Deep Dive. I am so excited to bring this show back as, I had to take a little bit of a summer break, refuel and really think about the different things that I wanted to talk about with this season of Deep Dive. I think we started off the first season on a roll and I am ecstatic to be back. There has been so much that has been happening over the summer in women's wrestling. So I'm really looking forward to starting. And I had to, of course, really lay into one thing that so far, as we are in the middle of July, bring up that I think is really going to encapsulate how intense the action in women's wrestling has been. And that is, of course, with the Owen Hart Women's Tournament. I think that it really shows what we're going to be seeing over the next few months with certain storylines, certain women kind of making up the rankings in AEW. So this was definitely something that I wanted to start off with to really fuel the fire of what we have to look forward to moving on, kind of closing the summer, especially for AEW with the All In pay-per-view coming up. I think that is really showcasing what is to be expected going on in the next few months for the company. And honestly, I'm really thrilled to see what AEW is going to be cooking up because whether it was a Forbidden Door pay-per-view affiliated with New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, the things that they've been doing with bringing women in from CMLL as well, and then this tournament, I think that they've really been turning up the volume, not just with the women's division, but the men's division as well, to really show what they're doing with the talent that they have. And I guess maybe in some ways really listening to certain things that people were saying that they wanted to see more of in AEW. So as we know, this live episode that is available on YouTube, Twitch, X, Facebook, and Instagram. So as we are discussing this tournament, please don't be afraid to leave your comments about what you thought about this tournament in real time, because I love to keep this as interactive as possible. So as we know, this was the 3rd annual Owen Hart Cup that began on June 19th and came to its end on July 10th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This tournament is one that I really look forward to every year. I feel that there's a certain standard behind the tournament due to it really representing the type of wrestling, I think, that people would expect with Owen Hart's name being attached to the tournament and the Hart legacy really being attached to it as well. And growing up, I was a huge Owen Hart fan. And as I got older, I started to discover even more because I really became a fan of his toward the end of his time in wrestling. So it's been nice over the years to even discover some of the things that he did in Stampede, in Japan, and then his earlier stints in WWE that I just became a huge fan of. So to see, and not just the wrestling for me, I always have been a fan of Owen Hart as one of the best talkers and characters, and the way he could switch up being a fan favorite to being a really good heel in the industry. So he is truly someone that I always go back to and admire. So it's really good to fully see his legacy being honored in this way in AEW, and his widow, Martha Hart, really taking care of and preserving his legacy is really a treat for me as a fan. And I feel that this women's division really took this tournament to another level this year and left it all on the mat. So without further ado, let's get into the matches that really made this Owen Hart tournament amazing. And we're going to start off with the first match that we were able to see from this fantastic tournament. And even before I start with that, even with the announcement of this tournament, it got me so giddy to see the women that were going to be a part of this and how they, in my opinion, were brilliantly paired off to create a contrast in styles with some women, to see two women that sometimes had the same type of skill level actually collide and not feel like they immediately had the advantage in the match was really exciting to me. So it already started off well with me seeing how these women were going to be paired off. So just brilliantly done to me, top to bottom. So let's get into one of the first matches in this tournament, which was Kris Statlander versus Nyla Rose. This was a match that I was really looking forward to, and I think it was a great way to kind of kick off the quarterfinal matches. In this match, we see a very, very solo Kris Statlander, the turncoat herself. And her focus was getting the opportunity to face off against the world women's champion, Toni Storm, after this tournament. Nothing in her mind matters except for meeting her goals, as we saw that she didn't even care. She had to portray a former friend and tag team partner, Willow Nightingale. She didn't care. She wants her opportunities. And you kind of saw it coming as you saw a lot of opportunities coming to Willow Nightingale that eventually Kris was going to turn. So we see her really going for her own opportunities and really making it clear that no one was going to stand in her way. And you certainly feel that with the intensity in which Kris comes out to be in this match. We see Nyla come out as a strong candidate this year to possibly win the tournament. I mean, in Ring of Honor over the past few months, we have seen her completely dismantle all of the competition. She came in really close to possibly win the Ring of Honor Women's World title against Athena. She came up short, but she proved that she really has gotten back into the stride that we really like seeing from Nyla. So I felt really good about Nyla coming into this match. Both women lock up early on and clearly know that their work is cut out for them, given the fact that both women had the size and power factor on their side. So we essentially see both women trying to showcase their strength and take the other out. Nyla is put down when she loses her focus just for a minute, with Nyla being thrown off of the side of the ring. We see Statlander start to take control of the match with swift kicks on the corner and Statlander putting Rose in a choke submission. But with the aid of the audience that's actually on her side, Nyla gets her bearings and delivers a cannonball in the corner of the ring. Statlander makes a comeback and delivers a hell of a choke slam. I always love when there's some wrestlers that can really pull off a good tombstone, and Statlander is definitely one of them. So I always love seeing that on display, especially with someone that, once again, has the power and size like Nyla Rose. For her to pull that off on Nyla was actually really impressive to see. And after we see that Kris Statlander is able to actually make it through this match and move on to the next stage of the tournament, we see Willow Nightingale appear on the Titantron and makes it clear that she will be successful in her match and make it through the tournament. And when that happens, she will beat Statlander and she will be on her. So I really love how you can predict like this sweet revenge that Willow is going to be able to get on someone that portrayed her on such a high level like Statlander. So I like how we're already going into this tournament, seeing certain storylines that were going to be brought into this tournament and not fully worked out during the tournament, but worked enough so that that interest still held for the fans as we even move out of the tournament. So brilliantly done already bringing in storylines. So it reminds us that a lot of women throughout this tournament have some great feuds already already in the works, and we can see that play out with who advances during the tournament. I thought this was a great match to solidify Chris as a strong competitor and really showing how she's going to be on her own. But then for Nyla Rose is really showing, even though she did not win, how she's really getting back into the groove of being on the AEW roster too, and being seen as someone that can really hold her own and possibly challenge for not just the World Women's title, but possibly the TBS title, which we did see moving forward. So going on to the next quarterfinal match, we have Serena Deeb versus Willow Nightingale. This was personally one of my favorites. And it's worth mentioning that this Owen Hart match was actually a main event match. I like that. And I was hoping for this with this tournament that we would see some of these matches actually be a part of a main event match to show how they can get that good time and really have the crowd, especially with that coveted spot on each televised show, to have a main event match. So it really goes to show how serious everyone found this match to be. And Serena Deeb really has been making an impact on this women's roster in this new leg of her career in AEW, as she's made her comeback after sustaining a very serious injury and just trying to get back into focus. I think with this new chapter with her being AEW, it has really been impressive. She comes out looking like $1,000,000 with this amazing robe and having the fans really there for her, as she has the home advantage. She is at home in this match, so the fans are completely behind her. Willow comes out into this match, and she is the only one so far that can really know what it's like to go throughout this Owen Hart tournament and actually see victory at the end. So it was that question lingering. Can she repeat again? Can she have a second consecutive year of actually winning the Owen Hart Women's Tournament? And as the bell rings, Serena comes out really showing off some brilliant submission skills that causes her to usually run circles against her opponent. But Willow isn't shook by Serena's style. She just brings the power. And I love how you saw that contrast through and throughout this match between Willow and Serena, where they were just matching each other up. They were trying to make sure that they continued to be level-headed throughout the entire match, and really made sure that they were using the things that are their strengths to actually make it through this match. And you hear that the fans are extremely vocal and loud throughout this match, but they are divided, as some fans are really here for Serena and some really want Willow to make it through again for a second time throughout this tournament. So we see a snapping neck breaker on the ground that gives Serena the power, and toward the middle of the match. And we see Serena just laying on some really cool submission moves that really just has Willow bent like a pretzel. And the fans are doubting if Willow will be able to actually see victory in this match, as Serena just keeps digging into her bag, looking for more tricks to just get Willow pretty much to the point where she taps. But Willow makes a comeback. She has a whole bunch of cartwheels, flexing that she does on the muscles, and power bombs to really bring her back into the game. Serena gets a single leg crab in. Willow gets out, and you can start to see the frustration of Deeb. Like the first time towards the middle end of this match, you really start to see the frustration build on Deeb, because I think she really felt like she just had it locked in the bag coming into this match. But Willow is never going to let someone just immediately get that win off of her. And you see a series of chops. However, when Willow gets the babe with the power finisher in, it's lights out, and Willow moves to the semifinals. As I said with this match, this was one that really stood out for me, because to me, it really embodied what I feel the Owen Hart tournament should show, which is a lot of submission based technical wrestling on display, as well as showing that brawn and power that someone like Willow can also bring to the table, and seeing contrasting styles like that actually merge to create beauty in the ring. And I think that these two women were paired off perfectly to deliver a match like this. So kudos to both women. It was hard seeing Serena lose this match, because I would have loved to see what else she could have done off the tournament, because she's just poetry in motion, really, when she's in the ring. But certainly it felt good, as also a big fan of Willow, seeing her move forward in the tournament. So we move on to another quarterfinal match, and that is Deonna Purrazzo versus Hikaru Shida. I love this pairing. I thought that this was great competitors to have against one another. And we see that Hikaru comes into this match as a 3-time AEW World Women's Champion. And for that, it could possibly make someone feel like she would be a favorite to win in this tournament. And just an amazing year that she's had so far. With really proving that she has not skipped a beat, and she is ready to take on all competitors to get back to that place that she once was as champion in AEW. And we have Deonna come out. She has really been trying to make sure that her mission that she had after leaving TNA and coming to AEW to be a world champion is still in her vantage point. She is still laser focused on making that a possibility. And both women start the match trying to get a headlock in to hold the reins of the match. A bit of running the ropes and exchanging strikes really shows that both ladies have the endurance and the speed to fight all night. And I love that once again, you see these different strengths and styles on display that really makes me applaud the booking for each match, because I always thought that with whether it's Shida or Deonna, they both really have strengths for that type of endurance that they have, that speed that's quick as lightning to really, skew the vantage point for their competitors to really show that they're always 10 steps ahead. Also, the way that they can immediately go to any technical submission based or brawler style, and really deliver vicious strikes is something that they both have in their arsenal. So it was really entertaining to see both women bring that out. And you see a crossbody off the top ropes put Shida in control for a split second before a huge kick allows the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo to take over. Purrazzo really starts to pick away at the right arm of Shida and putting her in an arm submission, even using the ropes to weaken Shida's limb. And this match, I really think that it displayed brilliantly how Shida is such a tough cookie. She just shakes that arm off and starts throwing knees. She does not give up. And one thing that Purrazzo is so good at is literally remaining calm and just looking at what body part she can take advantage of and really start working on it. And for Shida to also be very calm but still also delivering some strikes of her own just really shows how much they have studied one another, and that truly is on display here. So we see Deonna get the Fujiwara bar in, but Shida gets the leg on the ropes. A series of 2 counts follow, with Shida getting the katana finisher in to gain the win. So this was a match that, just like I said, I was looking forward to, because just if you've seen Deonna's work, over the past few years, you really see that Shida is such a formidable competitor for her because of how great they are at their vicious strikes, at picking each other apart. Shida, with this amazing speed that she has to instantly counter anything that she might be in. And really, Deonna always kind of giving me that Dean Malenko feel, where she's just a master of 1,000 holds. And I just loved seeing that in this tournament. I think in this tournament, for me, it's always been hard seeing someone get eliminated because of how well they came to this tournament and really, just like I said earlier, left it all out on the mat. So it was hard to see Deanna leave this tournament. But at the same time, I think that she's really getting her stride and really showing how she truly contributes to this AEW roster. So it was really good seeing her get that spotlight and really getting highlighted for what she is amazing at during this tournament. And I'm very interested in seeing how they continue to utilize Deanna throughout this year. Let's move on to the next match. We had at Forbidden Door, which was actually one of my favorite pay-per-views of this year thus far. Mariah May and Saraya competing at the 0 hour for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. And Mariah comes out with Toni Storm before Toni has to face off against Mina Shirakawa later on in that night. And former World Women's Champion Saraya, accompanied by Harley Cameron. Saraya looks confident coming into the match, even skipping around the ring as she makes her entrance. I really think that Saraya just felt like this was a walk in the park. She'll just have this quick match, probably go in the back, relax, and just enjoy the rest of the pay-per-view. As soon as the bell rings, Mariah May tries to get a pin. And you can immediately see at that point, is very clear that even though Mariah comes out, she always has a smile on her face. She's always a bit playful. When the bell rings, Mariah is all business. And I think that Saraya started to pick that up as this match started because Mariah was definitely trying to make quick work of her opponent. Very early on, May takes control at the beginning. And I really think it's the surprise of Saraya where she started to see, yeah, you got to put some work into this match. You see Toni Storm looking on as Mariah has control at the beginning of the match like a proud mama. She has a head full of curlers and black sunglasses on as she sits ringside. And we see Saraya counter a potential hip attack in the corner of the ring, and then she tries to gain control of the match. While she's also making sure that she makes time to verbally assault her former friend Toni Storm as she sits at ringside. So I like how they made sure that Saraya, we weren't going to pretend that Saraya doesn't clearly know that Toni Storm is there, and it can be a bit of a distraction, especially the way that they had that falling out and how Saraya is going to make it clear she still can't stand Toni's guts. So I thought that was fun to have that bit of a segment there. So we see a shot backstage of Shida looking on at this match, and she is definitely scouting out the type of style that her potential opponent for the rest of the tournament will be, whether it be Saraya or Mariah May. And I think that was very smart on her part to literally make sure you were continuing to be a student of the game in this tournament and really scout out what is the strengths or the weaknesses of someone that you might be facing moving forward. Then we also see that we have some interference from Harley as she gets on the apron to create a distraction. And Toni Storm gets involved after that, trying to even the odds, but only causes Mariah May to get distracted and almost lose the match. A frustrated Saraya delivers hard kicks to Mariah's back and drives May's face into the mat. However, May seems to be the only one that's trying to remain calm throughout this match, and she smartly gets a very quick pin to move on to the semifinals. And as you see, when we get that 3 count, Saraya looks completely shocked that this opportunity has slipped through her hands. And just like I said, with all of the accolades and things that Saraya has been able to do in AEW thus far, I think she just thought it would be a cakewalk going against May. But obviously Mariah proved that that was not the case, and she should not be taken lightly. So we see as Mariah is celebrating her victory at the entrance ramp next to the Owen Hart Cup, that we have Nina come out and show her support for her ex-teammate and probably best friend. But this, of course, only meets the ire of Toni Storm as the competition of control over Mariah May continues to plague of both women, leaving May in the middle of this craziness. But Mariah is able to keep both women calm for now as she soaks in her victory. I thought this was a very entertaining match, as it was a pre-show match. You see, is kind of, a thing with AEW, that this was a relatively quick match, but I think it helped to solidify that Mariah May is certainly someone that you should not underestimate. Don't judge a book by its cover, and understand that this woman is all business once that bell rings. I think for Saraya, it might potentially grow maybe this animosity that maybe she might need to be on her own, so she doesn't have any distractions, so she can really get back into the title hunt. We might start to see that over the next few months, but that is to be seen. Let's move on to the next match in the Owen Hart Women's Tournament as we get into that beach break set of matches that we saw towards the end of the Owen Hart tournament. We see Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. And I kind of like to call this match friend to foe match at the semifinals. And we get a backstage interview from Willow Nightingale with Renee, talking about how she's had to have a bright smile to make it through the world each day, because life can be hard and quite difficult many times to navigate. That she does this because there are a lot of people that she knows that battles depression and serious illnesses, and she knows that they need to see her have a certain optimism about life to make it through. And she also states that she wouldn't make it out of her bed if she didn't smile and lift her own self up. And even though she knows that people like Statlander mock her and make fun of her because of her bubbly personality, she won't stop being her. And she will be going to All In. And I really love this attention to this match with having the backstage interview and putting a spotlight on Willow Nightingale. I love this promo because it really came from the heart. And I think, honestly, especially right now, we're seeing it was pretty cool for Willow to make it clear that she definitely gets, and she hears and she sees how you'll have people like Chris Statlander that will, of course, make fun of her, mock her for the type of personality that she has. But she knows what that does for certain people that really need to see someone that has that type of hope about life, that understands that it's hard but keeps on pushing, and not just in a way where they're filled with gloom, but they're actually filled with a lot of optimism. So I really enjoyed seeing that, because it shows that Willow has a sense of joy that's just naturally in her. But she goes through things too. She feels things just like everyone else, but she chooses to be positive about life. So I thought that that was a great way to bring in this anticipated match. I mean, all of us wanted to see how Willow was going to be able to get her revenge on Chris Statlander after that ultimate betrayal. So we know that Chris Statlander has been avoiding any kind of confrontation with Willow leading up to this match. But Willow was ready at that ramp. She was ready to throw down and get some revenge, even giving Statlander a good old pounce that had her rolling down the ramp, and then followed that by a suplex on the ground to get this match started. So already the fans start chanting her name. They are on fire seeing this heated competition start even before the bell rings, and Willow really setting the tone that she is ready to throw hands coming into this match. Well, we do see Statlander kind of gains some control after catching Willow off guard. Willow stays in the game when she kicks out of a pin attempt. Statlander puts on a headlock that makes the crowd chant Willow's name even more to reinvigorate her. Chris tries to suplex Nightingale from the ring apron. Doesn't work, as Nightingale gets a cannonball in, followed by a drop kick from the middle rope. Willow attempts a pin, but Statlander kicks out. all to the approval of her manager, Stokely Hathaway. Willow pulls off a German suplex off the top rope, but Statlander gets up. So even though we see that Statlander was certainly trying to keep her distance, but still play, a bit of mind games with Willow, she's still such a formidable opponent. And then you have to top off the fact that both women were tag team partners, so they were able to see each other's work up close and personal. So that really gives you the idea that at some point in this match, it was kind of going to go back and forth because of the deep knowledge that both women have about each other's offenses and how to counter that. So we see that with Statlander. We see that with Willow, where you kind of have a back and forth. We see a series of 2 counts doesn't deter either woman from pushing harder toward victory. And Stokely provides a distraction to the ref as he takes out a chain from the bottom of the ring. Statlander grabs it, Willow sees it coming and rolls up Chris to get the win, and Willow advances to the finals. This particular tournament match was something that was enjoyable, not because it's in any way was it paying attention to the actual athleticism of the match, but I think one of the biggest takeaways from this match is that it really added to the actual storyline, the heat that these 2 women have against each other, and how we know that this particular feud is not going to end with just this match. It carries on. It's a very strong storyline that can really continue to kick off some great matches between the 2, and really keep showing that resilience that Willow has, while also showing the power and the credibility that Statlander has to possibly really show how strong of a contender she is for more titles. We just saw over the weekend that Willow now has that CMLL World Women's title that could possibly play into a feud that the feud that they already have, maybe bringing that into the mix. We don't know. The sky's the limit for what Chris and Willow could do. As tag team champions, they had great chemistry. As foes, opponents, they have really great chemistry too. So I would just say keep letting it go until we get a brilliant conclusion to this feud. But I love how it played a part into this tournament because it is very entertaining seeing these 2 compete. Let's move on to the next match, shall we? We have Mariah May versus Hikaru Shida. This was one I was looking forward to as well. I love how every match was made, because like I said, I like how the Willow Statlander match kind of gave us more of excitement towards the storyline that was building up. And I think this semifinal match with Mariah May and Shida really made me feel like I really want to see, especially with both women having a strong background and strong style, and Joshi-based wrestling was really exciting for me to see, and especially because of what this match really helped, the stakes that were involved. This semifinal match was going to determine who was going to be a part of the final match in the tournament. So a lot of pressure was more than likely on this woman's shoulders as they were going into this. So we see Mariah May come out with Toni Storm again during the tournament. She looks extremely confident. Shida has proven her ability to make it through the tournament this far. And just like I said, I love how they were making sure they were giving Shida a background this tournament to show how she was really studying everyone's style during this match. Both women start off the tournament going in for some clubbing blows. Shida is known to be a hard hitter, but honestly, so is Mariah. So as May proves when she gains control at the beginning of this match, I just love throughout this whole tournament that Mariah was showing how she can just match well and really gel off the other women in this tournament, but really prove what she can do in the ring. She is tough as nails as well. So we see Sheeta eventually gain control as she has Mariah draped over the apron and applies a hard kick. This, of course, upsets Toni Storm, but this makes Sheeta taunt Storm in Japanese a bit, and she hits May right in front of Toni to really rub it in. And this was just a funny segment. I love how everyone makes sure that whenever Toni Storm is involved in or at least sitting or ringside, that they always involve her in this too, and don't just let her just sit by ringside and almost try to ignore her. They pull Storm into it as well to honestly also kind of get into the head of Mariah. But I will say Mariah has been level-headed even when Toni is provoked or anything throughout the tournament. So Toni tries to comfort Mariah and make sure that she's encouraged to keep making it through the match. And Sheeta is staying on her with a strong offense as Mariah gets back into the match, applying a crossface that has May incapacitated for a bit. But Mariah gets her bearings and delivers an effective hurricanrana. This match shifts back to Sheeta as she delivers a suplex off the top rope. At ringside, Toni looks completely panicked. In an impressive show of strength, Mariah May gets up from a German suplex. Then the Falcon Arrow finisher. Even Toni Storm was a bit shocked by that. Sheeta tries to get the pin, but Mariah kicks out, to the enjoyment of Toni Storm as she mocked a frustrated Hikaru. We see two pin reversals. Mariah is finally able to get an effective pin and makes it to the finals against Willow Nightingale in Calgary. And you see Toni and Mariah skipping off out of the arena as they are completely absorbing this amazing victory for Mariah. This match really showcased the aggression that I think both competitors have, adding in a bit of comedic wit that I think that both Toni and Sheeta have with the verbal throws and blows that they were throwing back at each other. I think that it was a very solid semifinals match that really made you excited about the finals moving forward. Even though Sheeta was not able to win this match, I think that she keeps building up this fan base that really sees how impressive she is in the ring. And but then also how impressive she is when it comes to having kind of like that comedic timing and really being able to not just show in the ring what she can do, but also really get fans behind her match with the psychology as well as the comedy there. So I thought it was a really solid match. As I keep saying, as you kept seeing Mariah make it through this tournament, you keep seeing, and obviously it's kind of like foreshadowing what happens in the last match, how much Mariah is in her head and she is 10 steps ahead of everyone. And I really love how impressive that has been to see throughout the match, because I think, and I love the way that they played on this, everyone kind of has like an idea of how they think Mariah is going to be in the ring, and she completely transforms into someone that just has so much in her arsenal that it is absolutely impressive. So all of these matches have led us to the finals for the Owen Hart Women's Tournament, and we get to see Willow Nightingale versus Mariah May. And I kind of felt like it was going to come down to this. These two women, I wasn't kind of sure. Sometimes I would kind of change my mind, but I kind of felt like even at the beginning of the finals, I felt like these two women would make it to the finals. So we are live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada for this match, and we have Mariah May don the pink and black attire, completely paying homage to Owen Hart. And it is worth noting that this match was Mariah May's 20th AEW match. So I just love how everything just like came together for this match. And Willow comes out, of course, all smiles, and she also pays homage to Owen Hart with a black and gold onesie that has the word danger written all over it. Oh, in the middle, excuse me. And I love this homage as well. I'm always going to be the pink and black attire for the Hart family, 100%. But I really like that Willow came out with this onesie because, just like I said, I really became a fan of Owen Hart because I was obviously so young during the Attitude Era, and I always loved that particular outfit that Owen Hart would wear. So it kind of, tugged at my heartstrings seeing Willow wear that. So we have both women start this match off by locking up, with Toni Storm rooting on May at ringside, of course, and Willow tries to show off her power early on, but Mariah quickly counters with an impressive drop kick, giving her control over the match. Just like I said, every time Mariah always surprises in these matches where she'll be paired off with someone that sometimes thinks that they can, immediately take control in the match, but Mariah proves them wrong. Willow gets back into the game and delivers a cannonball off the top rope. To the dismay of Toni Storm, Willow tries to get a pin, but to no avail. I love seeing throughout this match, the technical and submission-based work that Willow and Mariah were putting off. They really wanted to make sure that they were ending off this tournament in a way that was truly honoring the legacy of Owen Hart, and it was just the chef's kiss. Mariah gets a bit of control by throwing heavy blows to Nightingale in the corner, followed by her Hurricanrana. May goes for the pin, but the resilient Willow kicks out. Willow tries to go for a pounce, but Mariah gets savage and hits Willow right in the noggin with a vicious headbutt. We see interference in this match, not from Toni Storm, but from a very bitter Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander. Mariah tries to cash in on this interference by getting a pin, but Willow kicks out. A lariat from Willow doesn't get the win, so this causes Willow to try to pump up her energy as she takes off the straps of her onesie and kind of, hulks out a bit. She then drops a cannonball and attempts a fireman's carry when all of a sudden Mariah counters and gets the win. This is the second time in this tournament that we have seen Mariah just make sure that she's calm, that she's even making her opponent feel like they might get the win, and immediately snaps and gets a very quick pin. You can't help but to be impressed with the way that Mariah was handling these matches throughout the tournament. It certainly brought her to victory. Even though Willow is heartbroken, she still shows that respect and makes sure that she takes time to give Mariah that handshake and that congratulations that, of course, Mariah did deserve. So that was nice to see that on this part of the final match, that there was a sign of respect and nothing too crazy happened. So we see Mariah really absorb that she won this tournament and that she can forever say that for the third annual Owen Hart Women's Tournament, that she was the winner on the women's side. And we see Toni just like elated that her, student has been able to move forward and really go up the rankings in AEW. So we see Mariah jump into the arms of Toni when they're in the ring. They're pretty much skipping up to the ramp. And all of a sudden, we see Mariah go in and really beat the crap out of Toni Storm. We just see how everything just drastically changes in the matter of mere seconds. We see Luther get thrown off the stage into a table. Then we immediately see Mariah go back to attacking Toni. And already, just with the first whip of the belt, we see that Toni is cut open. But then Mariah viciously goes into hitting Toni Storm in the head several times with the white pointed heel that Storm was wearing throughout the match. Mariah smears the blood over her face and proves that she is definitely coming for that title at All In at Wembley Stadium. Let's just take a minute to kind of absorb that, because we saw, even as fans, the fans needed a minute to absorb what the heck was happening after this finals match. Mariah just immediately snapped, and you saw this was a plan of hers all along. She was buying her time and waiting until she had the opportunity to snap, okay, on her mentor, Toni Storm. You can really see the legit surprise and even hear it from the crowd when Mariah had this heel turn. It was just awesome. Everyone thought that Toni was going to be the one to portray Mariah, especially because she was really pushing for Mariah to be a part of this tournament. But May had a surprise for everyone, as she was the one to inflict that turn. The sheer brutality of this attack really threw everyone off in a good way, and it really made me feel that we were watching someone turn heel, like you would see in a Joshi promotion, where they would just really go in. You usually see blood. You would see them really bludgeon the person that they had this type of animosity towards. So it was really cool. It was brilliant. And honestly, I think this moment will be talked about in AEW for a while. What a way to end off this wonderful tournament. I am truly looking forward to see how this buildup between Mariah May and Toni Storm will go into their All-In match. If this is just a preview of how it's going to be, then I am certainly sure that it is going to get really heated moving on. Before we get into our break to pay the bills, I want to just make sure that I am saying, hey, hi, Ronald Tinsley. It is nice to see you, and thank you for tuning in for this season 2 opener. It's always good to see comments. Ashley Valdez, how are you doing? Thank you for joining in today. This was just a brilliant tournament. I loved every moment of it. And just like I said, for them to cap it off like this, to make sure that we were ending off the tournament, was such, I want to say cliffhanger, but honestly, I think it wrapped up Mariah's storyline so well with her moving on into this next chapter, that I thought it was a perfect ending to how Mariah came into the company, with everyone kind of second guessing how she was going to be, but then also leaving us with a few questions. So just a brilliant way to cap it off. I love this tournament from top to the bottom, truly. So I'm going to leave off with the final thoughts, but before that, I'm just going to take a little break.
Hey, yo, you. Yeah, you that's watching this. You sitting on the couch staring at the screen not knowing what you want to do, like this is an online college. Are you tired of wearing shirts that make you look like an extra stuck in catering? Do you want to step your wrestling swag game up to the next level? Then Women's Wrestling Talk has got you covered. Like literally. Are you for life in pink or black and white? Or maybe you're the EST and people need to respect you accordingly. Want to put some pride in your stride and show off the muscle in your hustle? Then make sure you check out the WWT store. Not now, but right now. Alright? What you waiting for? Head to wwtalkpodstore.com and don't make me fight you. Shit.
I had to end it off as I go into my final thoughts. Well, you know, that screenshot to show what we have to look forward to moving on to this journey to All In. because I think that this tournament, both from the women's side of the tournament and the men's side, has really gotten us amped up for one of the biggest pay-per-views that AEW has coming up in August. And that's the way that you do it. If you have that big pay-per-view coming up, you better go big or go home leading into it to guarantee that not only the people in attendance will be big and broad, but the viewers watching all around the world will really want to tune in. And I must say, for everything that people say about AEW, I definitely think that they made sure that they're truly doing everything they can to really beef up this all-in pay-per-view. So that leads me into the final part of this episode, which is just a few thoughts overall about the women's tournament. This Owen Hart's Women's Tournament, the third annual Owen Hart's Women's Tournament, really lived up to the hype for me. We saw 5-star matches across the board with technical, submission-based, strong style, and straight-up brawling being displayed throughout these past few weeks. Phenomenal storytelling that will carry out well after this tournament is done, that honestly rivals many other promotions. As a viewer, you see the wealth of talent that sits on the AEW women's roster. They are definitely showing that they are there to really take advantage of that TV time, and that they bring in viewership and deserve to have several segments on each show that they have weekly. This long-term storytelling, especially what we see with like Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, and especially Mariah May and Toni Storm, was brilliantly executed. I would go on to say that this particular feud with Toni Storm and Mariah May will steal the show at All in August. And I think that for a lot of other women that were a part of this tournament, they really have pushed up their rankings in the company on the women's roster. And I think that we'll definitely see some great positions that they will be put in moving forward. What was it that you loved about the Owen Hart's Women's Tournament? Let me know in the comments. And if there's some things that still linger for you, or maybe you haven't fully caught up with the Owen Hart's Women's Tournament, you haven't seen every match, I encourage you to go back and do that, because they really put on a great show. I want to put a congratulations out there for Bryan Danielson, who won the men's Owen Hart's Tournament. I think that this was a great choice for this year's tournament, as just like Bryan Danielson said, he wants to have that same type of legacy that we usually hear about Owen Hart, that he was truly a family man. But I also think that Bryan Danielson should also be known for really caring about the integrity of the business. And many times, just like he was proving throughout this past year, really wanted to make sure that he was also getting in the ring and showcasing and putting over talent that was just as great as he was. And I think that he truly embodies that, and not just caring about his push, but caring about having a roster full of people that can stand toe-to-toe with him. So congratulations to Bryan Danielson. He put on a hell of a performance throughout this tournament. I also want to give a bit of kudos to Jeff Jarrett as well. He was so passionate, not just about the tournament, but about his dear friend Owen Hart and his legacy, and how it should be respected by this generation. And I wanted to point that out because there is an amazing promo that that Jeff Jarrett gave, and I really loved it. If you haven't seen it, where he's talking about why he's entering the tournament and why it's so important to him, I would really encourage you. It's one of the best promos that I think I've heard all year thus far, and I know that's a lot because we've seen so many great promos throughout this year. But it's such a passionate, truthful, heartfelt, touching. I mean, if you don't get choked up, I don't know what's wrong with you after seeing this promo, where you really see that insight to know that there was a very personal relationship that Jeff Jarrett had with Owen Hart, and how that still stays with him. That connection that they had with both of them being sons of promoters in the past, and how that probably did initiate a friendship between them, but how they very much were family men, how that made them connect, how they saw the business. And then unfortunately, that sadness that you see Jeff have because he had a friend that died so soon into his life, and all the plans that Owen had even for his family, you know, uh, right before he died. I don't want to take too much from the promo because I would love for you guys to check it out, but it really got me in my feelings when Jeff pointed out two things. One, that literally that week that Owen Hart sadly lost his life, he had just finished building his dream house for his family, and he was telling Jeff how excited he was to be able to do that once they got off the road that weekend and spend that time with his family, and how emotional that made Jeff even thinking about that memory. But then also how coincidentally Jeff Jarrett lost his first wife on the same day, 8 years later, that Owen Hart passed away. That is just so eerie and crazy that that happened, and I can't imagine having that sense of loss and feeling like in some ways at that time you didn't get enough closure, and then you lose someone that you love as well. It's just crazy. But I love the way that Jeff just makes it clear how important this tournament is, not just for the competitors, but for keeping a legacy that many times was a bit shut. With all due respect to Martha Hart and their family, dealing with such a tremendous loss. For a while, we did not really get a chance to fully absorb the legacy that Owen Hart left, and to be able to do that now, you know, over these past 3 years has been great as a fan. So kudos to Jeff for also adding to really lay out some things for fans to be able to know more about Owen Hart's legacy in this tournament. It was truly cool to see that. And then his interaction with Martha Hart as well, of some backstage interviews. It really made this tournament quite layered. And just like I said, one of my favorites of this year. I truly think there was a lot of thought that was put into not only the women's tournament, but the men's tournament. Yeah. I just want to, I have to highlight this comment because I did think this. I just want to read it. Still a trifle disappointed that Willow didn't go back to back, meaning she did not get the chance to fulfill her goal of winning the Owen Hart's women's tournament twice in a row. I felt that way initially when she didn't, but then obviously as you know, the fates aligned, she was able, in my opinion, to have something that can really be useful throughout this year, which is being able to be a part of a very impromptu decision of her competing for the CMLL Women's World Championship. We know that was vacated after Stephanie Vancouver decided to go to WWE. And I think that this might be a great opportunity because I'm not going to lie, I was already feeling some type of way when Willow lost the TBS title so quickly. So for her to have this title that can be really prominent because she can make it look really good by competing around the world with it, really make it prominent. That might be something that can really be a good thing for Willow. So hopefully they let her hold the title for a bit, because they are, I don't care what company it is, whether it's New Japan, AEW, you name it, they don't let Willow hold the title long enough to really build it up, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that she gets the chance to do that and really build it up, have some great feuds, so that that title starts to look like $1 million, because Willow certainly has the ability to do that. So even though, yes, we share that sentiment that we would have wanted Willow to win the tournament, I think that, you know, this impromptu match opportunity for her to win the CMLL title can really work out to her benefit if they play her right, if they book her properly with it. So let's cross our fingers and hope that our girl Willow can really get an opportunity to really wear that title and wear it well. And then the way we saw with this finale for the tournament, I can't be mad that Mariah won, because I mean that finale to it was absolutely amazing, and I am really looking forward to seeing her face off against Toni Storm. So maybe everything did work out the way that we would want, with Willow getting the push that she rightfully deserves, and Mariah really becoming something to deal with on the women's roster. So we'll see. But it's like I said, if you have not been able to check out every match on the tournament, or you just saw bits and pieces, I would encourage both on the men's side of the tournament and the women's side, go check it out. I think that AEW knocked it out of the park with this tournament. I just want to leave it off with this because I love this comment. I love that there were many storylines touched upon and left open to continue. Thank you, Arnold. Okay, good. I felt the same way. And that's why many times we've been hearing over this past year certain comments about AEW, which come on, some of them were fair. Okay, I'm not going to say they weren't fair. I think that it has been taken in. Maybe they're really getting that chance with the opposition towards like certain things that they've been doing to take it in a positive way and really create some good things within the company. And I think that this tournament, also Forbidden Door, and the things that we've been seeing on the roster with some great storylines really starting to show, a change of shift. I also think that with AEW being so young, people don't give like enough time for people to like really get into a groove and really build. So we can always talk about the flaws for sure. There are flaws there, but I think people need to be reminded like how young AEW is, how they're really still gaining their footing. And I think over these past few months, you're really starting to possibly see them try to establish what makes AEW different, and really try to have their own thing versus trying to constantly compete with others. Just focus on what makes you you. And I feel like we're starting to get that. So hopefully we continue to see that moving forward. But thank you guys. This was an amazing episode. I really hope that people will continue to show that type of support for AEW because they really have an amazing roster. We're starting to really see some great stories and really getting plugged into what the AEW brand is all about. So continue to get plugged in. I think this All-In pay-per-view is going to be amazing. So continue to watch that build up because I think they're really cooking right now. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Keep those comments coming because I can see them moving forward, because I know there were some people that kind of felt like there were some people they wanted to win the women's tournament, or if you really love the outcome of this tournament, let me know that too. But thank you for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.